I'm Kendra. I joined Philip James Financial Services in September last year. I've worked in financial services for the last 8 years, working for both small IFAs and large wealth managers. I've done a variety of roles, including admin, paraplanning, and now I'm starting to prepare advice. It was a small family-run business. There's 10 of us in the company and 5 advisors. I quite like the small family feel, and I feel like clients like the same, which is why I wanted to move from a large wealth manager to a small independent financial advisors, and we can give independent advice. I didn't dream of going into financial advice after college. I fell into it just working temping, and I first had an admin job with a small IFA in Woking, and I just did valuations, so preparing admin, calling up providers, getting valuations and sending them out the door. I was sat in a room with 3 financial advisors, and they were firing questions at each other all day regarding pensions, tax-free cash, and I didn't have a clue of what any of it was. And I was just so interested, so I sat there Googling everything that they were saying, and I was just really intrigued. So I started off doing that, and then the boss asked me to train me up basically, and I started doing mortgages. So I passed my mortgage exam, and then I got qualified in that and started doing all the mortgage work within the business, and then I carried on doing my other exams. So I moved from there to a large wealth manager and did admin there for the advisors. So I did that for 3 years. And then I got promoted to a paraplanning role, which I prepared suitability reports for clients. And now I'm moving into the advice sector, which has always been my main goal. There are 6 exams involved, which I have all passed. And then I've also done my certificate in mortgage advice. So it's a lot of studying. It's taken a few years, especially working full time. But what people don't realise is that you don't need to go to uni to do financial advice. It's 6 exams, and then to move on to chartered, it's another 6 exams, which I plan to do in the future. Every client's situation is different. We come across clients who are just starting to invest and have a small sum of money or regular spending, but then you have the opposite side of the spectrum, and you may have come into some inheritance and you have a lot of money that you don't know what to do with. So you've just got to assess the client at the time and what their needs are. I think purely because of exposure. Not many people know what I do. I speak to friends and family and they still don't know what I do, and I've been in the industry for 8 years. I think it's not until you come across your own pension and you think, oh, I've got to look at that, is when you think, oh, I know someone who can do that. So I think it's just exposure. It's not something that you learn about at school. I didn't know about pension until I was 19. I think it's just the way you've been brought up, and it's not until you need it is when you learn about it, which is why I think that it's not just women that are there's a shortage of an industry. There's not a lot of new generation overall coming into the industry, and I think that's just because of exposure. I don't think there's any barriers with women coming into the industry. I think there's a lot of people out there who warm to female advisors. You have a lot of vulnerable clients out there who may not want men entering their home. It's the same as any industry really. You know, female decorators or female plumbers get a lot of business, a lot more business than some other people. So I think that there's definitely a market for it, and I do think that we do need more women in the industry, but I think that it needs to be advertised out there. So my short-term dream, and that's within the next year, is to start getting a client bank of my own and building relationships with those clients, and then building a relationship with me and trusting me. Within the next 5 years, I would like to be chartered status at least, and continue with my professional development and work my way up with the business here at Philip James.